Live from downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Film School campus, it's time for EP Live. Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool. Hope you all had a marvelous weekend, and that was on purpose. Yes, there was a lot of Marvel news. We're going to get into that in just a second here. We're also going to be taking a look at Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 because I played the hell out of that game, and I've got a review for you. And today on the show, we've got an incredible guest. Chris Van Dyck is in the house with me to talk about working on special effects and visual effects across a myriad of different projects. Most recently, I think that we're all excited about is Stranger Things 3. So he'll have some good things to talk about with that when he gets up on stage with me. But of course, you know, we've got a rundown to get to. And today it's going out to Purveyor of Loops, who says, I love this channel. I wish I would have found your content long ago. The way you describe your experience with all things cool just seems to resonate with me. Thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you so much. That's so kind. Purveyor of Loops, this rundown is all yours. All right, now you may have heard that Comic-Con happened over the weekend, and no surprise, Marvel had the biggest news. During a massive presentation at Comic-Con's Hall H, Marvel unmasked the upcoming films and TV shows that are all part of their Phase 4 cinematic lineup. It starts with the Black Widow movie, which comes out in May 2020, followed by The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus in the fall. The Eternals movie, starring Angelina Jolie, also lands in November 2020, with the Kung Fu-centric Shang-Chi as the legend, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, starring Canadian actor Simu Liu, hitting in February 2021. The new Doctor Strange movie hits in May 2021, and WandaVision and Loki hitting Disney Plus in spring 2021, and two other shows, What If and Hawkeye, later that year. The electrifying Thor, Love and Thunder with Natalie Portman returning hits in November 2021. Finally, Marvel revealed that Oscar winner, Mahershala. Yeah, Mahershala Ali is playing a new Blade, and they also confirmed that they're working on a new X-Men and Fantastic Four movies, but don't have release windows for those yet. So that was Marvel dropping the giant atom bomb at E3. There were so many huge announcements. What? Oh, at Comic-Con, sorry. I get the cons all mixed up. That was Marvel dropping the atom bomb at Comic-Con. And there were so many big announcements. Any one of them is massive, but all combined, it was just like poof, poof, poof. I think the movie that excites me the most is probably Blade. I love the original Blade with Wesley Snipes. I have to tell you that I'm a little bit bummed that Wesley, at least as far as we know, isn't a part of the new Blade. But Mahershala Ali is an incredible actor, and it sounds like he put the deal together. It sounds like he reached out to Kevin Feige and says, I want to be Blade. After he won his second Academy Award, that was one of the first phone calls that he made. He reached out to Marvel and said, I want to be in the Marvel Universe. And what do you say to a two-time Oscar winner who loves Blade? You say, yeah, let's do it. They didn't give us a date on that one, but some of these dates are pretty phenomenal. The fact that we're getting this long-rumored, discussed Black Widow movie next spring, I'm excited about that. I'm excited that David Harbour is in this movie. Very curious to see how it all plays out because, spoiler alert, Black Widow didn't turn out so great in Avengers Endgame. I'm definitely looking forward to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. Actually, all the shows. But I'm psyched to see what... I've always liked that repartee and that rapport that those two actors have in the Marvel movies, so I'm very psyched to see them carry it forward. And it was really clear that Disney and Marvel are making no distinction between their television properties and their movie properties now. I mean, they just sort of float from one to the other. Even the What If animated show is going to have all of the cinematic universe actors voicing the characters and coming back to reprise their roles, and they're going to be doing all kinds of mixes and matches there, presumably playing a little bit with the multiverse, which they're also hinting at is going to be, it's in the title of the Doctor Strange movie, so that's going to be a big part of the Marvel the Marvel universe in general going forward. Very psyched about that. I don't know anything about the Eternals, but I know that Jack Kirby's family is ecstatic that Jack Kirby's work with Marvel is getting this much attention. and it's going to be a worldwide phenomenon by the time all the marketing is done with this. So I'm very psyched to learn more about the Eternals. I definitely want to go and dive into the Kirby comics and just familiarize myself with some of these characters and some of these storylines. We know that in the Shang-Chi movie, it sounds like we're going to be getting the Mandarin. A new Mandarin is going to be a part of that experience, which is going to be fantastic. And it's crazy. Natalie Portman is going to be wielding the hammer as a female Thor, and that should be exciting to see too. And it's honestly, I think it's a bit of a make good with the way that her character Jane Foster was kind of just pushed off into the corner in the Thor films. She's an amazing actor, so I'm really looking forward to that, and definitely looking forward to Guardians 3 and whatever they're going to announce with X-Men and Fantastic Four. So much hype, but justifiable hype. And what I like about this the most, about Phase 4, is that it completely veers in different tangents. It's with a bunch of different actors. It's with different properties, different characters. And it's not really about tying it all together, as far as we know, around any one big bad or anything like that. It's not even really taking except for Thor, it's not really taking any of the other big properties that they like Black Panther or Captain Marvel, and saying, well, it's all strung together about the return of these movies. This is really exciting stuff, and it shows the creative muscle that Marvel has, but also the leverage that they have and the freedom that they have with Disney. So super psyched to see where they go with that. Now, the Final Frontier also had some a massive presence at Comic-Con this year. CBS revealed the first good look at their new series, Star Trek Picard, which sees Patrick Stewart return to the iconic role for the first time in decades. The show also marks the return of other next-gen cast members like Brett Spiner as Data, Jonathan Frakes as Riker, and Marina Sirtis as Troy, along with at least one character from another show, Jerry Ryan as 7 of 9. Audiences will have to wait a little longer than expected, though, because the new series has been delayed a few months into early 2020. Star Trek also showed off its new animated series, The Lower Decks, and revealed the first details on Discovery Season 3, which is currently filming. All of this bodes very well for Star Trek fanatics out there. Even if Star Trek Discovery has been a bit disappointing, it shows that there's a lot of life in the franchise, and there's lots of different avenues and different ways to explore. One other thing that we heard about as well is that they're making Star Trek shorts and bringing back Spock, that was just in Discovery, as well as Captain Pike, played by Anson Mount. So, and phenomenal work by both of those actors and those characters in the last season of Star Trek Discovery. So I'm super psyched about that. I was over the moon to see Jerry Ryan reappear as 7 of 9. I got to meet Jerry Ryan when she was working on that Mortal Kombat show, and she's terrific, and she left an indelible performance as that character that she's going to be known as for the rest of her life. So it's fantastic that she is coming back into the fold. Picard just looks so damn cool, and one of the things that I really like about it too is that it yes, it taps into nostalgia, and yes, it sort of is, kind of comfort food in the sci-fi world. But it also shows that, these characters can grow old, and they still have some relevance, and they still have some cachet in these big fictional properties. So I'm super psyched that this is all coming together. I hope the shows are awesome. I have been a fan of Star Trek Discovery, and I know a lot of people that are maybe more diehard, like Blake is shaking his head right now, not the biggest fans of that show, but I really appreciate the creative choices and everybody's performances in that show. God, it's such a well-made show. Give me that at least, Blake. I know you're not a fan, but it's really well made. Okay, well acted, not well written, Blake's yelling out. Okay, now horror fans at Comic-Con found out that they're getting not one, but 2 new Halloween movies. Universal has announced that the upcoming sequel to last year's Halloween reboot will actually be 2 films, called Halloween Kills, due out in 2020, and Halloween Ends, due out in 2021. Right, it's going to end. Jamie Lee Curtis will be back alongside director David Gordon Green, although it's unclear how much we'll be seeing of franchise villain Michael Myers. We do know that both movies will be shot back-to-back, and Universal is hoping that they'll be just as successful as the last one, which earned a killer $250 million worldwide. I really liked that last Halloween movie. That was a lot of fun. Jamie Lee Curtis is phenomenal, and She was packing heat and was completely believable in that last Halloween flick. She just looked like she would take out anybody, let alone Michael Myers. And there was just a really creative, loving tip of the hat to the classic 70s work, you know? Really, really good film. So hopefully, and it sounds like David Gordon Green, who directed the last one, knew what he was doing, knew what they wanted to do in terms of mood and aesthetics, and they hit their marks. I think they had John Carpenter's music in that as well, right? Yeah, which was terrific. It was really an unexpected pleasure. It wasn't just a cash-in. It was a great homage. And so hopefully that's how these next two movies turn out. But I'm expecting some good things here. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for our rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. Let's take a look back at this day and everything cool. Welcome to This Day and Everything Cool for July 22nd. On this day in 2004, Nintendo had an idea that looked good on paper and everywhere else. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door was released on the GameCube in Japan, with a Western release following a few months later. It was the second game in the Paper Mario series following the original that had been released on the N64 in the year 2000, and this time around the battles were much more intricate. Nintendo and Developer Intelligence Systems also doubled down on the paper theme, using it during gameplay to allow players to do new things, like turn Mario sideways in order to squeeze through cracks. The story was also much more in-depth than the previous game, and actually had more in common with the SNES game Super Mario RPG, which was a precursor to the original Paper Mario. Basically, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door was the definitive Paper Mario experience, and it became one of the best-selling titles on the GameCube, establishing the franchise as a valuable property for Nintendo. Several sequels and spin-offs have followed. All right, we are back, and we have a very special guest today. This is Chris Van Dyck, who runs his own VFX company now. It's CVD VFX, yes?
Yeah, that's right.
It's for your name,
Yeah.
but it also stands for something else, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. It definitely grew beyond me just as an artist with a few other talented people. And so we actually pulled that out to clients and staff and friends and family. And we tried coming up with new initials for the company name.
Yeah.
We had like really funny ones where people would be like, clients would be emailing and go, hey, Crazy Vocal Dolphins, or they would just come up with any other acronym they can come up with. But we stuck with Connect, Visualize, Deliver.
Nice.
So it's like putting some process to the initials.
Very, very good.
The spin. So
It's been a few years since we've had Chris on EP Live.
Yeah.
We used to do EP Live in our old studio setup. Now we do it in a cafe at Vancouver Film
nice,
School.
yeah.
It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
But a lot has changed. You came from working with different studios and working on projects like Game of Thrones and what other movies and TV shows were you working on back then?
When we spoke last, I think I was just kind of wrapping up The Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
Yeah, so
Crazy.
I was working on The Hobbit or Tron, Harry Potter.
Few things.
Yeah, and that was like the nature of my career, was chasing whatever the biggest projects were, so to speak, for for caliber, because that's where the most time is allowed, and that's where the best things happen, right? So I always chase that, and so.
And I guess the good work and the big work leads to more big work and
exactly
a little bit more stability,
yeah.
which is what everybody wants in the
totally.
media creation world.
But then when you want to be a part of something great, it requires sacrifice. So I think that's where that was kind of maybe the problem. I know that's not maybe what we're set up to talk about, but I think that's what really inspired me actually to start my own thing, was just saying like, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna try and manage my own hours.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to talk about both because
cool.
I definitely want to talk about some of the work that you've been doing recently, specifically Stranger Things 3. But I also, as a business owner, I know that it's like running two different things. You've got a product to ship and people to make happy, but you also have staff and payroll and managing the sort of core business stuff, and that's something had you ever done that before?
I did actually I had a brief stint with a friend. We tried a company out, and we were kind of focused on lifestyle, and it was fun, and I learned a lot. But when it's actually it was having children that really inspired me to do it again, because it was the same thing where I didn't know if I was coming home for dinner or not, because I'm making it sound dire, but it just, you're working on big shows and the sound of, hey, working on the next big X, Y, Z movie just really didn't fit for my life anymore. And so I think that's kind of what really pushed me to go out there. But then, yeah, it's true. We'll round up and say 35 staff now.
Wow.
And it's a lot in 4 years.
That's a lot of people to take care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess the motto now is you're trying to be as proactive with people's time and sort of recognize that work-life balance based on some of the experiences that you've had in that way. And trust me, this is a big thing in the video game industry. It's a big thing in every creative industry. Let's be straight up about that.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my tagline is quality of life, quality work.
Yeah.
Or maybe another way around, but we kind of changed it a few times. So once it was like, it was quality of work, quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of evolved it to say quality of work earns quality of life, because I think once you do that quality work, then you get people's respect, and with quality comes integrity and respect, and then so that's when you can hopefully say to somebody, hey, that request you just asked of us, you may not realize that, but that actually puts us into overtime, or that's a team on the weekend then.
Right.
And so respectfully we can say, hey, is there another version of what you just asked for?
Right.
Or could we work with you on providing you this, and then we get back this to you on Monday, Tuesday.
Right.
And hopefully in a lot of those instances we can come up with a more creative solution that just works for everybody. And then obviously some you can't. We have to this has to go today.
Yes.
We're hitting it today, no matter what, we got it. But
So
hopefully the quality of work we do and the quality of projects that we work on, there's just that respect everywhere, and then that allows for the quality of life.
That's fantastic.
That's what we
Chris.
try. And
that's
then,
awesome, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
And how is it being received by the people that would contract your company? Like, is Hollywood being receptive to this kind of new thing? Because let's face it, every product out there, every show, every movie is loaded with visual effects.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So much that we don't even know that they are visual effects now. So visual effects has never been more integral to.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. I don't know if we can do that at scale.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. And so
Right,
maybe that's
okay.
where we stay as like a niche, like boutique, where we're going to knock this out of the park for you, and we're not, trying to wear all the hats. But I guess the point is that
that's the goal.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it could be the goal, but it is kind of challenging to say, hey, that's just how we operate. And I think where it's working for us, though, is that we, not to diminish our efforts or our team or anything, but we're a small piece of the puzzle, right? So, let's use Lemony Snicket's that I see us playing on there right now.
Yeah.
It's, that show per season would be over 3,000 shots. So we would do our 300. That's like 10% of the show.
Right.
So we're not like a major first call from the client kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think we've been learning that as shows are getting more demanding, then maybe that's where we say, you know what, this one has to have a better balance, so it's just trying to look at each project differently.
It has to be kind of the natural evolution of the medium as well. I mean, there's got to be maturity around all this. You see behind the scenes on anything now, and there's like 10% of a set being built now.
Yeah.
So there it has to be getting better. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think the work looks great. Like our work from Stranger Things. Like I think what our company does really well is like hard surface, live action, kind of based 3D and environment work. So that was almost all of our work in Stranger Things. So I won't say anything that's potentially spoiler, but like there's this one room that they end up in, which is like they're farming this promethium, and they built out, like you said, 10% of the set, and then we built it out, and maybe like initially it was going to be a certain size, and then we pared it back to be this, and we're kind of helping them explore the set and building it out. And same with the elevator sequences, they're building a small platform, and then we build the rest. So it's kind of it's cool. I like that kind of stuff.
Is that how you are making a name for yourself as a studio? Is doing a lot of is it digital compositing and
or just like live action based extension work, and that could be 3D or matte painting. But yeah, it is kind of our bread and butter right now. Like
that's awesome.
We're building out quite a lot of assets and environments for different shows.
How did the Stranger Things deal come together? Is that something where you have a relationship with Netflix because you worked on Lemony Snicket and they suggested you guys, or did you know the producers? Or
yeah, it's funny you ask that, because that one actually is like a really, really long and complicated story. But
it's just like the show.
Yeah, well, let's just say people come and go on shows, and I happen to know worked with someone that was working on it at one point.
Yep.
And they kind of brought us in for an initial interview, and we were beyond excited, right? It's a show
sure.
I love.
Yes.
And I love, on a side tangent, I love the fact that we can have 8-hour movies now.
Yeah.
Like, if you want, you can sit down and in a linear timeline, sit down and watch Stranger Things unfold for 8 hours,
totally
7 hours.
Felt like a movie, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I've done each season. I do it in one sitting.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Wow.
Like, yeah, sit down at 7 and I go to bed at 4 or whatever it is.
It's Father of the Year award is
I
in
know.
the mail right now.
It's so, so I was really passionate about the show, and you hit it there. We had a good relationship with Netflix, and so then it was just kind of like respectfully hounding and saying, "Hey,
we like Stranger Things.
How can how can we help? How can we, how can we jump in?" And I think that's where, like, as a small kind of focused company, we've been able to add value because we're hitting the quality mark and hopefully finding savings for them, and and then they're getting a team that's like really excited about like a niche aspect of the show.
Yes,
they can hopefully let us just pour the passion into it. And
do you ever hear back from actors that were on the set that day and they didn't get any of their background, and then you made their background? And what a mind trip it must be for these guys, right?
Yeah, no, totally. I think I haven't had too many of those instances. Definitely with like more on the post side.
Yeah.
Lots of like cool accolade there, but yeah, no, I haven't had too much interaction with the actors and stuff like that. But I actually did go to the Chucky. We worked on Chucky, the new Chucky movie. And
oh, cool.
So I actually met a couple of the actors from that and got to like shake their hand, and it was kind of cool. You see them and you expect them to be all 20 feet tall. They look large in life on TV, and then you meet them and you're like, oh wow,
they're
that's
just
so great.
people.
Yeah, just people. Yeah.
And I can see it because we interview actors and stuff all the time. But there is this real appreciation for how good companies like yours make these people look,
Yeah.
And are you feeling like there is, tell us a little bit of some of the stuff that has been just blowing you away in visual effects over the last few years? What has visual effects really been nailing that you guys might have thought was an impossibility? If you like de-aging, is that something that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, it's funny. It's not, hopefully not negative, but I almost feel like what's happening is, this is kind of a different spin, there's a decline in specialty almost, like before it was maybe easier before, I don't know, like 5-10 years ago, you could say, oh, this studio is the best at this. This studio does that. You can't get that work done unless you go to this place.
Wow.
And so with the demand out there now, it's like, and I don't consider myself or, on this global platform, but like now you have all these like several thousand person companies that are all doing that work amazingly. So to answer your question, I'm just blown away with how great everything is, like and you go to the VES, the Visual Effects Awards down in LA, and it's like everything's just like mind-blowingly good, and it's so that I think that's where I'm most impressed, is that everything is good. It's not like, oh, good, this one vendor came in to do this one gag, and then we've got this kind of C-level work throughout. It's like everything's there, and so that's kind of, and I think I think the obvious answer is like looking at Game of Thrones and just being like, look how amazing that.
True.
And you've got companies where, like, not to point fingers at studios, but like who was involved in the first few seasons, and then it's like you've got Weta coming in and just working on, like, so you've got these people who are traditionally been reserved for like the hugest tentpole films in the world, now doing episodic work and bringing that level up. So
I was just talking about that in the news, how Marvel's next foray is all really about the Disney Plus stuff, and that line is totally gone. I mean, Netflix is kind of suggesting that as well with the stuff that they're doing.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you worked on the Chris Hemsworth action flick as well. There,
12 Strong.
Yeah. What did you have to do in that one?
That was cool, actually. That was a good story for us, even as a company. Like. We were, what were we just wrapping on actually? I forget. I think we had just finished the Lemony Snicket's, I think. And either way, we were kind of in this lull of just kind of, I'll just pick up some stuff here and there, like just anonymous work. And then we got a call from ILM, and they were like, hey, we hear you guys are doing good work. We want to put you forward to the client. And that was just, so validating and mind-blowing, and they just put us forward. And at first it came to be like offsetting costs, like, oh, help us with these kind of like, the first bid package we got was all like really simple, kind of like objective work, nothing that would really, require a fully developed team or a big pipeline or anything. But by the end of it, we were doing like, CG explosions, like FX explosions and CG tanks and crowd duplications of like 500 people and building out the environments. And so that's some of our best work to date, actually. And so we managed to do that with like 11 people in 6 weeks, and I think that if you watch that movie, our work holds up to all the other vendors too. So
I did just recently watch that movie,
yeah,
and the effects were pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I mean, it looked
totally.
incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, are you finding that you're able to do more with less? Is that part of what's happening?
Yeah, I think because we can pivot.
Yeah.
That's like, I think what I've been learning about our company is that like, structure is amazing, and you need that for growth. But sometimes with structure can inhibit moving quickly.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we'll find that sweet spot where we can be a well-oiled machine of a company, but that can also have those core values of being able to pivot and look at scenarios and be able to try various things, as opposed to just like, and once again, I'm not making a statement about other studios, but it's like, as opposed to, okay, that goes back to this department, and then we'll wait for it to go through this one, and then it's like, no, you know what, let's try a quick test, get those stills, or get this wedge out, see if that's responding well, then we go back to the drawing board. And so we kind of I think that we've done well with getting quick turnaround feedback to clients, and they appreciate that. So
is the goal for you and your teammates to kind of remain nimble like that and not get too big, or do you have like a number of people in mind that you'd like to grow to, or are you good where you're at?
I don't know. I think that we're like maybe a little bit more growth away from having a few more key high-level positions in place, because we can't be top-heavy.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get a few more roles in the company that would allow us to like totally execute on a global level without any concern.
Right.
Whereas like right now, sometimes a show will come in and be like, that might be too big for us right now.
Right. You'd have to contract a whole bunch of people.
Or we can only do a percentage of the work. And that's the biggest challenge, is saying we can do it, but we just can't do it.
Yeah.
We don't have the resources. So it's hard to answer that question. But
Stranger Things 3 was something you pursued. You were a fan of the show.
Yeah.
What's it like for someone to contribute to that and to watch it on your streaming service at home?
Yeah, I'm so proud. And I'm so proud of the team. Like, it was so cool to see what the team came up with, and that's also part of it. Like, in the first few years of the company, it was myself souping everything.
Yep.
And so we had one of our like other soups on this and helping and bringing that forward. So it was cool to see like, hey, I didn't actually this wasn't my vision, like I got to see things come to fruition at our shop and just be like actually like proud, as opposed to like, oh, we got there. So it's cool to. It's a shift. It was different. I was able to go like, oh man, the team did a great job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself in sort of negotiation mode quite a bit? Are you the one that's out pursuing the work to bring back to the company?
Currently, yeah.
Yeah. And how do you like that role as opposed to working on the effects?
Yeah, I like problem solving. So if there's some aspect of that, creativity, if it's problem solving on a shot specifically, or how to get something physically filmed, or just trying to present an option where we're a good fit, and that could be sales. I'm enjoying all of that right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're creating a company too, right? It's all part of the creation spectrum. Mm-hmm. Have you seen The Lion King?
Not the new one.
Not
the
new
original.
One?
Is the new one out yet?
Yeah, it's out.
Oh shoot.
You've been busy working.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, but I'm excited to see it.
Have you had a chance to analyze the effects in that at all, or?
No,
is that what you do when you go and see a movie? Do you just sort of pick it apart and?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. I try really hard not to.
Yeah.
And then as they do the submissions for best VFX, you watch it then, because then it's all the breakdowns. And to be honest, like if you watch that, it's really hard to, because all of it is digital. It's not like So it's amazing. But no, I haven't seen it, and to be honest, I've got 3 kids, and it's hard to go and see movies. That's where it's great. For Netflix is amazing, because you can watch it at home.
Totally. Well, soon it'll be the Disney Plus world for parents everywhere.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
If you could talk to the kid that wanted to get into visual effects, Chris Van Dyck as a young man,
Yeah.
What would you tell him about the path he was about to lead? What has surprised you the most?
All of it
about this industry.
All of it has, and this isn't great for me to say this because it's I own a company, but I'm not the leader type. I'm not the visionary. Not the leader type. I'm not the visionary type.
Yeah.
Like I'm not the guy going, this is the vision for the company for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm more of like I'm like a good 3 to 6 month guy.
Yeah.
And like, or maybe even like a 90-day guy. Like, I'm gonna problem solve this.
Yeah.
So that's where maybe throughout my whole career I've learned, or people will tell me, hey, you might end up doing this, or hey, that would be a great goal for you, and I'd go, oh, there's no way I'd ever get that. And then you do it, and then you get there, and you're like, wow, I can't believe I did that. So like literally I remember my 10-year goal, 2 years into my career, I did it year 3.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, and I'm not trying to like humble brag or anything, but it's like my vision has been off is more what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So like, even someone saying, oh, you'll start a company, I would laugh. I was like, who am I to do that? Or what do I know? I just want to do shots. I just want to not live in my parents' basement. I just want to like get a job.
Wow.
So it's like, all those things I didn't really. If anyone told me at any of my points, like, oh, you will work at ILM in San Francisco, or you will work in New Zealand on the Hobbit trilogy, like, I would have been like, couldn't believe it. So, I think at each point I've kind of been like, surprised, and that's actually part of the fun is like, I keep getting to go, oh wow, I can't believe we did that, as opposed to like, okay, we did that. Like, it's confidently. I was like, I'm just always blown away.
That's very cool.
And actually, I'll say one other thing if I can keep rambling.
Yeah.
Is I like the idea of your goals being more around process, because then you're almost kind of accomplishing your goals all the time, as opposed to a milestone. Like it's not like our happiness or our worth is defined by, oh, we won an Emmy, or
you're not Jim Carrey writing yourself a $50 million check or something like that.
Exactly, and that's awesome when people can do that.
Yeah.
That's not me, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I think that if we can, as a company, or in our leadership, be like based around our core values and our process, then we're hitting it all the time, as opposed to we need to be 100 people, or we need to do X amount, or because then it's like I've learned looking back that anytime I did end up getting my goal, there's nothing there for you other than the next goal.
And that's kind of what I've been saying about my whole career too. It's like the reward is to get to work more. The reward is to get to do what you love to do more.
I always say that the reward for good work is just more work.
Yeah.
So there's no real accolade in service provision.
You have to have a favorite though. Was there a favorite project or something that when you reflect on, you just think very warmly about? Might have been the people, might have been the movie or the TV show itself?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few, I could say. I don't know how we are on time, but...
We're okay.
Yeah? Okay. Well, recently, Stranger Things was great, but as a company, I think my favorite project it was probably Lemony Snicket's, because of just the dynamic of how it all came to fruition, and then how the process went. So it was just like so complimentary and respect at every stop. And we were on the phone 2 to 3 times a week with Barry Sonnenfeld, genius, and at a level where he was just pouring compliments in and being excited to collaborate. So like to be a partner and a collaborator on a big show like that was really cool, even though it was a small bit. Yeah, that was like really fulfilling. And so we got to do that project.
Does it help that was all made in Vancouver too? Was that?
No, it was funny. Like it's good for them for like aligning incentives and everything. But no, everyone we worked with was in LA, and I think just like being able to, everyone got to flex their muscles. We did work that everyone's proud of, minimal to no overtime, and just respectful, delightful conversation every time. So that was a great 4 months. Like,
you sound like a good boss.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully. So as a company, I think that was like my favorite project. Personally, my favorite stuff is where there's room to do stylization. Yeah. So the game cinematics, that's my favorite stuff, because we get to kind of like look at it and go, oh, this would be way cooler if this happened on a shot by shot basis. So you almost get to like art direct and storytell on every frame.
Right.
And you get to nerd out at the max level.
Right.
And
because that's a big part of your company too, is working on video games in addition to the movies and the TV show stuff.
Totally.
And you have a lot more freedom, I guess, and a lot more, I guess, creative control all the way through in the game stuff?
And when it's in the cinematics, when it's like certain things we have to stick true to, where the game is going or to the surrounding level.
Yep.
But when it's a breakout cinematic, then we get a lot more control, and to the point where on Anthem, which we're really proud of that sequence, we got to be a part of every stage, like the blocking and the animation, and we were just talking to these amazing partners about just what would make for the coolest shot and reframing, or what if we did this type of camera move, or so it's just really like seeing it, at a AAA game title or company be, how cool can we make this sequence look?
That's awesome.
And so that was really cool. Yeah.
Have you got a project that you're working on now that we know is coming that you can sort of hype us for, prepare us for?
Yeah. We're nothing on the game front.
Yep.
But we are working on The Terror season 2.
Okay.
And
I haven't seen that show. I've heard it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's got an amazing aesthetic and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's going to be our largest project to date.
Okay.
With the amount we're building, so I'm really proud to show that work, and yeah,
that's
awesome. That's really cool. And that starts airing, I think it's August 12th.
Okay.
Mid-August, the first episode airs. So we're still chipping away at that.
And that's very soon. Have you got something in 2020, or do you guys have to focus on this and then you?
Yeah, there's stuff in 2020, but I think I shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah. We will have to have you back.
Yeah.
Chris, it's
definitely.
Great to see you,
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Congratulations on all the big changes and the right moves.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Thank
all
you.
right. Let's go now to a review on the run. I finally got to get through Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
I shall be waiting here for you.
On Friday, I gave you guys my first impressions on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, and then all weekend long I've been playing the game on my Switch. My Switch has never left my sight for this whole weekend. Whether I'm going out for a little walk or going to get coffee or whatever, I had it with me in my satchel, but of course I was stuck to my TV, and I had a wonderful time with this game. It is absolutely addictive. I could hear my Switch, kind of the fans going on it because I was playing the game so much. It's really hard to pull yourself away from this thing, especially if you're a comic fan like I am.
Whatever's happening, we can beat it. Keep fighting.
A lot of my first impressions, I think, were right on the money. You're not going to be talking too much about the environments in this game. You go to lots of cool places. You go to Wakanda and Hell and Nowhere and Adelan, and you're going to see a lot of the Marvel Universe in here. You're going to fight AIM agents. You're going to fight Hydra agents. You're going to fight demons. You're going to fight the undead. And you're going to meet all kinds of incredible characters. And that's what you pays your money for here. And that's what you're going to be talking about. It's not going to be the environments, which I kind of liken to like an off-Broadway show. It doesn't have the Broadway budgets to create the sets, which is okay. I mean, they allude to where you are, and they have the title placeholder saying that you're in these cool environments, but you don't they're not very memorable. You might have a green geyser as opposed to a red geyser, or the crates might be a slightly different color in this area than they are on this next level. It's the characters. You really just want to get to all of them. I don't even know how many there are. There are tons of them. I mean, you got Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange and Crystal, who I'd never encountered before. Black Panther, of course. You get the OG Avengers. You get Guardians of the Galaxy. It goes on and on and on.
Is this some kind of joke?
It's kind of a light RPG. You're not really fretting about it. It is fun to kind of level up your characters and get them a little bit more buffed and more powerful. And depending on the team you put together, you might get a buff for that as well, like the OG Avengers or the X-Men characters or the Women of Marvel or the big brains if you've got Doctor Strange and Tony Stark and the Incredible Hulk, and so you get all of these extra little buffs and stuff like that. And you are in the menus, and you are spending experience cubes and making sure you've got the points to be able to augment the different abilities of each of the different characters. Like Wolverine might have a wicked hack and slash kind of attack that you can make a little bit tougher. You could titch it up just a little bit with the points that you earn. earn and the little gemstones that you can spend. And each of the characters has 4 of these attacks that you can level up 4 times each. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of boost your characters. But what's going to happen is you're going to start to make some choices as you're progressing through the story on what characters to use. And a lot of the characters that you'll earn along the way are going to be a little more juiced and a little more powerful. So you're going to switch over to those characters. I mean, that's what the game is trying to get you to do, is to play with all of these characters as much as possible. But you're going to probably default to your more powerful characters and continue to level those up. And so some of the characters that you might love, like the Guardians of the Galaxy characters who you encounter right at the beginning of the game, might sit on the shelf for a little while, your virtual action figure shelf. And you won't pull them back into the play because they're sub-level 10 or something like that, and they're just not going to defeat a level 35 boss. I was trying my best to kind of mix and match the teams and keep everybody leveling up, but it's really hard to do that through the confines of the story.
I'll take what I can get.
The way that you do that is by earning experience cubes in the Infinity Challenges, which you find scattered throughout the story maps, and then they unlock all kinds, like this hive of different kinds of challenges that you can go out. You might have to defeat 200 bad guys within a set time limit. You might have a boss fight with 3 successive bosses, and you got to keep all your characters alive. And through the challenges, what you're going to do is you're going to earn all of these experience cubes and points and things like that you can spend wherever you want. So you can go back to your lower powered heroes and power them up and then put them into your team. But through the story, I found, at least my first playthrough, I found that I was really I had my mains. I had my Black Panther was pretty high-powered, and Storm was pretty high-powered. I had Ghost Rider in there for a little while. This is how cool this game is, right? I mean, it's like the best sports team in the world. I felt guilty every time I'd pop in and I'd see, Peter Parker and Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy, some of these characters that I just love so much, but I couldn't pull them into my game.
Yeah?
Co-op is fun. I played it with my kid for a while, and I played it online with people for a while. But honestly, I had a little more fun being able to bounce around and be any of the characters that I wanted of the 4, any time that I wanted. And I missed it when I was confined to just one character at a time. So that was an interesting realization. I think it'd be a little bit more fun if you had 4 people crowded around a TV together and everybody was playing it at the same time in the same room.
The chaos has just begun.
This is also one of those games where you're going to want to play through the story again, because you're going to see so many cameos and so many cool moments, and the movie sequences are really well done. They're really fun. You can tell all the actors are relishing the opportunity, and the artist had an incredible time making these beautiful animations with these beautiful ornate special powers and special effects, like Black Panther's, hacking and slashing fighting effects are so different from what Wolverine does, and it's really amazing. Like, they went overboard. Everybody at Team Ninja that worked on this thing, they really understood the responsibility that they had, because, quite frankly, the last couple Marvel Ultimate Alliance games were pretty damn terrific, and they've stood the test of time. All the developers in Marvel Games, they looked at this as an opportunity to deliver something that was very comforting. It's almost like a soul food video game. You could really see that this would fit alongside a lot of PS3 and 360 games back in the day, and I'm not trying to make that a diminishing statement. I think that was an incredible era. You can still have a great time with something that is kind of what you would expect it to be. I would say that Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is that. It's not a mind-blowing, state-of-the-art visual spectacle like you've never seen before, but it's just freaking fun. This is just giant fun. I played hours and hours and hours of this. I played through the story, and I played tons of the Infinity Challenges, and I was completely hooked, and I was so hooked I went, boop, buying all the DLC. I can't wait for more. I love this game. It's an excellent pickup for the Switch, and the caveat would be, of course, if you love superhero movies and the superheroes and general comic books, you're going to love it that much more, but I'll tell you what, this is an accessible game that's super fun for anybody. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, an excellent pickup. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. All right, you guys. Wasn't Chris Van Dyck just fantastic? A great guest, and we will have him back very soon. We have got a bunch of great people in the chat right there. Good to see you, Dude with a Gun, VR Grid, Audrion Leon, Wesley West, Dude with a Gun was a bit weird one. Blake Siefkin, some weird guy saying Star Wars Picard looks great. It's Star Trek, buddy. Very psyched about all of that stuff. We are going to have a Let's Play and chat in a second. But first, we've got a buried treasure for you. I have an awesome buried treasure for you guys today. It's Bionic Commando Rearmed, which came out way back in 2008. This was a tremendous experience. Definitely a loving homage to the classic Bionic Commando games of the NES era and the Game Boy era. This is not the big 3D extravaganza that Capcom tried with Bionic Commando. This was a 2D recreation of the classic days with 3D art, you know, and 3D design and some really cool weather effects and some beautiful augmentations. There's multiplayer in this game, so you can play cooperatively or you can get into multiplayer fights. And they had a whole bunch of different kinds of modes and little intricate puzzles and things to solve, but mostly just like the core, classic, beautiful experience that Bionic Commando is. This was about navigating through the world with your grappling bionic arm and swinging and shooting and being able to survive as long as you possibly could, fighting crazy bosses, fighting lots of bad guys in sort of Nazi-style gear and helmets, blasting and being smart about where you're going to shoot that arm out and what you were going to swing to next. Incredibly well made and still incredibly fun to revisit still in 2019. This is a classic buried treasure. And if you can find Bionic Commando Rearmed anywhere, I encourage you to do it. You know, I was so inspired by today's buried treasure that I thought we should play Bionic Commando Rearmed 2. Couldn't find Rearmed 1 on the Xbox store. Josue is here. He's going to be our victim.
What's up, everybody?
But you finished Bionic Commando Rearmed 1, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It was nice and challenging, and yeah, you can jump in this one.
Yeah,
that's crazy. There's
some new abilities and new skills. Still looks incredible. This was Grin's game. Grin made this one too. Yeah. And just super crazy fun. So we'll play a little bit of Bionic Commando Rearmed. And you guys know the drill. This is Let's Play and Chat. If you've got any questions or comments or anything that you want to talk about that happened over the weekend or about Marvel Ultimate Alliance or anything, just go ahead and shoot them our way. Help me out with all caps if you can. Uncle Jay says, yes, I love Bionic Commando on PS3. Now, this is a buried treasure I have tried and played and enjoyed a lot, says Robert Lino. Wesley West and Xbox One can play Bionic Commando too. So, yes, Rearmed 2. I downloaded this. It was only $6 here in Vancouver, Canadian pricing. So it's probably like $4 or something in the States. It's like cheaper than a cup of coffee. It's pretty crazy, right?
Great deal.
Or a latte. Yeah, I love this franchise. This the whole idea. Comment, Fat Shark made this. Grin closed. Thank you, Blair Farrell. Always there with the stats for us. Guy knows his games. What difficulty did you play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on? I played it on regular difficulty. I want to see these games. I want to progress in them. Yeah. So I don't challenge myself with, you know, hard on the very first time that I'm going to play some of these things. Otherwise, I wouldn't get anywhere. I'd be frustrated, and you'd see every one of my reviews is like be like, I hated this game. It was too hard. So I try not to do that too much. I like to see the stories, right? I want to get into it.
Yeah, in a reasonable amount of time.
Yes, absolutely. Dude with a gun. Any new movies, games, or shows you would add to your 100 best of all time list? Wow. Oh boy, yeah, there's got to be tons, and I don't know what I would take out. So, yes, it's time for us to revisit that. I've been talking to Scott Jones about him coming on the show soon, so maybe that'll be something I can broach with him, that we should get together again and do some of those, because that was a lot of fun. Question from Blair Farrell. Did you get stuck on any of the bosses on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3? I found a few spike too high. Yes, Blair Farrell, and you know what you do is you go back out into the Infinity Challenges and you do your grinding there, and you buy the experience point upgrades or you earn the experience point upgrades, and then you can go back and I think I know what boss you're talking about, but I had to do that a little bit. I was ignoring that stuff. I did one or two just to sort of know what the Infinity Challenges were, and then I realized, no, that they're integral to the experience, particularly if you're either stuck on a boss or you want to level up some of your characters that you've been ignoring, which was kind of a concern for me because I liked so many of those Marvel characters that I wanted to beef them all up, and I didn't like leaving so many of them sort of just sitting there at level 9 or whatever. But then when you go back into the Infinity Challenges, that's when you pull some of those characters back out, and you can play those challenges over and over again, by the way. So you can beat up 200 bad guys and earn a bunch of cubes. which is fun. Question from Famous Seamus: how did it feel knowing that this STC was the first year without Stan Lee? Fantastic question, Famous Seamus. Yeah, I think about Stan all the time. You know, like I was very fortunate, like a lot of people, to get to know him a little bit, and I hosted panels with him at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's weird that he's not here. I love the homages, I love the recognition that he's getting, in front of Marvel movies and stuff. He lived a beautiful, long life, and he was more appreciative of it than anybody. But yeah, it's weird to live in a world filled with so many Marvel superheroes. I mean, let's face it, this past weekend was like a tribute to his imagination, and he's not there, And but that's a beautiful thing, man. If you dare to dream and build some really beautiful things that people dig, they can go on and have a life of their own and inspire generations of new imagination, And yeah, I miss him. He was awesome, and it really bugs me when he gets. Whenever anybody talks about him and sort of diminishes his creative output or his importance in the culture, I'm of the school that thinks that there should be a Stan Lee statue at Disneyland now. Marvel is as important to Disney as anything else that they have in their park, and you can see a statue of Walt Disney when you go there. There should be a Stan Lee statue right there. Maybe he should be with Jack Kirby. Maybe he should be with Steve Ditko. But Stan should be there, as should George Lucas in statue form. Big question. Didn't know I was going to get so introspective there. Robert Lino, what other franchises would you love to see Capcom bring back? I would pick Gargoyle's Quest and Beautiful Joe. Now, Gargoyle's Quest, was that based off of Ghosts and Goblins? Was it a derivation of that? I can't remember.
I guess so. I never really thought about it.
Because there was the Gargoyles show, but I don't think they did. Because it got confusing because Capcom used to do licensed games like that, and I know that they did I think Gargoyle's Quest was based on the Ghosts and Goblins, and that would be rad to come back. Ghosts and Goblins, or Maximo. Yeah, that would be rad to come back. That's a good one. I think it's time for another Bionic Commando game, even if it's a 2D experience like this. That's the thing that really shocked me about playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance again. It's like there's nothing new here, but it's great. It just felt fantastic to play, and Blair Farrell will probably back me up on that. Sometimes it's just really fun to, experience something we're already kind of familiar with, but maybe with some enhanced, mechanics or some tweaked visuals, but very similar to what we know and love, And this franchise, these classic games stand the test of time, and they show that, Am I going to continue to play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3? Yes, I am, Audrey Leon, but now you guys know, right? Like, I've reviewed it, so I got to go on to the next stuff, and Fire Emblem is coming out this week, so I'm angling to be reviewing that very soon. We're going to be seeing the Once Upon a Time, no, what is it? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood this week, so there'll be a Film Fury review of that, and I'm also looking at that Sky game, that the team from Journey, that game people.
That game company.
Yeah, they put it out on iPhone, so I should have some thoughts on that pretty soon as well. But I love Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I've already bought the DLC because I want all those other characters, so I definitely will be playing it. So you'll see me online. Sorry to miss this live. You rock, Vic. Thank you so much, Nick Carney. You rock. So, but you're here. You're watching it live, unless you just dropped that comment in and then said, I'm out. I think you could have done that. Jeff Meacham, how's Steve Tilley doing? Is he going to be on the show? I Facebooked with Steve because he didn't make it to E3 this year, which was a shocker. It was a shocking E3. I felt like I was the only guy running around doing interviews on the floor this year. It was weird. But yes, he is due to come on the show very soon. I miss that guy. Trust me, all of those folks will be on EP soon. Absolutely. Blade Blur question: since you are finished with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, would you play other games that with the EP Discord watchers? Yes, absolutely. And I'll try to keep you guys abreast of some of the stuff that I'm working on, so that we can do a little bit more of this multiplayer stuff. I'd like to do a multiplayer kind of sequence from the show itself. I think that would be fantastic. Okay, we have time. Just beat Bionic Commando on my hacked SNES Classic. It's been over 25 years since I kept my OG NES all day and night to finish it. Oasis Beyond. Great comment. I actually have a Bionic Commando story. There's a film director, a writer and director that's based here in Vancouver named Raul Inglis. And we went to University of Victoria together and we're friends. And I was in some of his stuff that he was directing when he was out there. But he knew I love video games. And when we both kind of reconnected here in Vancouver, one day he came over and I was happy to be playing Bionic Commando, and he said, I just want to watch. I'm going to watch you play this game from beginning to end. So I guess I was like the first streamer. Because he just sat there and watched me play the whole freaking game. I went all the way to the end, and do I kill Hitler in that one? I think I killed Hitler at the end of Bionic Commando. Incredible. Just an amazing game. And he just watched the whole thing. Raul, if you're out there, love you, buddy. I hope you're doing well, man. It's been a long time. Jamie Andrews, just like EP has a life of its own. Oh, that's very nice.
Yes.
Good, because I played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 specifically to play with you. He's got the tongue out. That's Blade Blur. Yes, we are going to play that. I did actually reach out. I tried to figure out the co-op on the game is a little bit finicky. It's not as easy as, oh, my friend is playing. It's not Xbox Live friends list or PlayStation 4 friends list. It's, you guys know, it's Nintendo's kind of hacked kind of online stuff. So I tried to find other people that were playing, but I was playing Pacific time fairly late last night after the kiddo was asleep. So needless to say, I didn't play with people that I wanted to play with, but I definitely do want to play with some friends. You know what? I'll bring in the Switch again this week, and we'll try to play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 from the show with people. Okay? So we'll make that happen. Sorry, Vic, that was the Ren. Yeah, and the Ren was one of the guys that we were trying to connect with, but he's in Winnipeg time, and yeah, so it's just trying to get all the hours together. Famous Seamus, do you remember the remake of Bionic Commando, the one where the arm was your character's wife?
Armed and Reloaded? No.
That
was the other one.
Oh,
it was just called Bionic Commando.
The 3D one.
The 360 one, yeah.
I can't remember that element of it. Was that part of the story? It was the arm was the wife? That's so crazy. Wow. You have to finish the first boss in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and then you talk to Nick Fury, and then make a room for friends specifically. It's kind of complicated. I did do that. I made a room. Oh, but I didn't make it for friends specifically. I just made it because none of my friends were playing it out. You know, I tried, guys. Spoiler alert: Bionic Commando 2009. Yes, he means the 2009 3D game. What are people's choices for chat on Switch? That's a Blurfell question. I like to FaceTime. The only person I've done that with has been Johnny Millennium, and it gets pretty heated when we're getting into a fight, because then you can see the person, which is pretty fun. Hitler's head exploding is a signature of Bionic Commando series. That's from Sam IM 111. Let's see what we got here. Wolfenstein VR is also out. Yeah, I guess I haven't put on the VR headset in a little while. Got to do that for sure. Let's see. Blair Farrell, the radiation wasn't so unforgiving. VR Grid is asking, how much are you using the Quest? I haven't played it in a couple of weeks, but it's sitting right there charged and ready to go. So I definitely need to get that back on my head. VR Grid, let me ask you, what's new and definitely worth checking out on the Quest right now? What's different since the launch stuff? What's the hot new experience there? Let us all know in the chat. Comment, I'm upset Mega Man X is finally returning to smart devices, Abby Jameson. Oh, are they making a new Mega Man X, but it's only going to be on the phones? They might just get it out there to sort of pay for the bills, and then if it's good, they'll make a console version of the game too. I am excited for the Avengers game. The leaks from San Diego Comic-Con have been great. That's Geek Hero of comics and consoles. See, I told you guys, that's the content that I saw behind closed doors at E3. And I know when because the plan is for them to release it, I'm sure. And when they do, all the haters and doubters are going to be very, very hyped because it's super cool. I mean, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and I said this in the review, is a fun experience, but it's definitely, a dated kind of feeling game. It feels like something that came out a couple of generations ago, which isn't a bad thing. Like this came out a few generations ago, still super fun. But Marvel, the Avengers game is about state-of-the-art with all of these different characters. And Crystal D is an incredible developer. They know they can't botch it. Square Enix has got a lot riding on this as a publisher. And Marvel Games, now they've had the new version of Marvel Games, the current existing one, has had Spider-Man, which is crossed over. That also happened on the weekend. It's the biggest selling superhero video game of all time. The
Impressive.
PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game beat all the Arkham titles, which I'm okay with. Still, Batman games are better, but they have that, and they have this success now of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I think it's universally being recognized as a very successful game, and the Iron Man VR experience should be a lot of fun later this year. But they're on this drive to create the Marvel game universe, and they know they can't botch it, and that might mean that we might get some delays. We might have to wait a little bit longer, but they've got some really good stuff in the pipeline, and I'm super stoked. And I hope, honestly, that it inspires Warner Brothers and DC to experiment a little bit more, go out beyond the Batman world, and give us lots of other great superhero titles that way. Let's see, we got VR Grid came back with Super Hot VR as a showstopper on the Quest, thanks to it being untethered. That is an awesome game. Feels like we've been playing a lot of the best VR stuff for 2 or 3 years, though. It feels like it hasn't shifted all that much. There's been standouts like Beat Saber and Vader Immortal, but yeah, I feel like we need something really big to shake it up. Although there was that big PlayStation 4 VR, the Blood and Money or something like that. I heard that was killer. I did not play that yet, though. Question, though, on Activision wanting to get purchased by Disney, all of those Marvel video game rights would get very untangled. Is that the new rumor? Have you heard that, Blake? Activision wanting to get bought by Disney? Wow. That's crazy. If that's happening, that would be huge. Maybe Blair is just dreaming. He wants all those superhero games to come back out again. I do too, buddy. I do too. That would be huge. I bought the Switch copy to get the awesome Amiibo a few weeks back. You bought it twice. Oh, Geek Hero of Comics has got his EPN shirt. Thank you so much. You rock. VR Grid. Even the VR Grid. VR is still a little still right now. Yeah, the Quest was some power boosters, though. We might see some really big shifts very soon. Can't wait for Spider-Man 2 on the PS5 Pro Plus in 8K from Uncle Jay. VR is going to be a little stagnant until 2021. Next gen VR. This is from the horse's mouth right here. This is from the VR Grid. Okay, how good is 8-Bit coffee? The 8-Bit Beans coffee? I have it all the time, and the way that I actually put it into smoothies. I don't know, you guys ever do that? Smoothies with a little bit of coffee in it. It's fantastic. But I've heard nothing but good reports on the 8-Bit Beans coffee. This is the espresso playground. Our own coffee with 8-Bit Beans. They've got a bunch of other flavors too.
I do cereal with a bit of coffee.
Do you really?
That's my trick.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay.
Coffee only.
It's getting time to wrap up the show. I'm going to answer one more question. Do you wish that they would have kept in some of the RPG elements in MUA 1 in 3, character-specific equipment, min-max stat management? Yeah, that's not a bad comment. I really just wanted to play as the characters. I liked that there is some RPG stuff in there, but it's not weighted down by it. It kicks you right back into the action quite a bit. So it really feels like an action game. And in fact, in some of the Infinity challenges, you can go out as as specific individual heroes, and it's just you against a bunch of enemies, and it feels so much like an old action game, which was cool. I guess the only thing that I would want out of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is just maybe more gloss overall on the visuals, a little 4K kind of sparkle. And I don't know if we're ever going to get that, because it feels like Marvel is sort of tied to the Ultimate Alliance game now is tied to the Nintendo platforms. Although I saw a rumor, it's just rumor, that the next Zelda game might be out in 2020, end of 2020, with a new Switch, which is more focused on being a home console, which would, of course, be powerful enough to be 4K and maybe up-res some of that stuff, which would be very interesting. It would be like Nintendo saying, well, we're going to, subvert the old way of making a console and then maybe a handheld derivative. They started with a handheld and console. Now they're going to have a handheld only, and if they released a console only,
full circle.
It is kind of full circle, and it's like, here's your buffet of choices with the Switch moniker, which, I don't know, that could be really clever. I would be down for a Switch console that, makes all of these awesome Switch games look a little bit prettier, and then is tied to the release of a new Zelda. I think they do all right with that decision. I miss the equipment. I think the ISO 8 stuff is too convoluted. It is convoluted. I don't know. I feel like you can get costumes. I'm good enough with that. I'm good enough with the costumes. I mean, it'd be cool to put belts and stuff. I mean, certainly they could embellish and add to it. Maybe that's what they're going to do with this sells enough and Marvel Ultimate Alliance continues as a franchise. Wouldn't that be great? All right, you guys, that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for playing. Did you do okay?
Thank you. I beat one level.
Yeah, very nice.
I put the other one on hard.
Very nice. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back on Wednesday. Our guests are going to be from Typhoon Studios in Montreal to talk about Journey to a Savage Planet. So please come back, and you can watch it live here at 390 West Hastings in Vancouver, or you can watch it on the stream right here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Play forever.